Many thousands of people all over the world claim to be in contact with extraterrestrial beings. My guest today, Kesara, is an artist and for the last 20 years has been drawing ET beings that people claim they've been in contact with. Join me and Kesara on Let's Talk Paranormal next. Welcome to another Let's Talk Paranormal, and tonight my guest Kesara is an artist who's been drawing ETs for the last 20 years of her life. ETs that people claim they have met through personal experiences. Welcome to the show, Kesara. I want to ask you first of all, have you always had this ability for art?
Well, the first time I can remember somebody coming up to me and asking me to draw for them was when I was in elementary school. So, yeah, I guess that was what I was supposed to do, is just be kind of a conduit for other people so they can express themselves through me visually. So, yeah.
So have you had a personal experience yourself?
Oh, yeah, many. The first experience that I had was when I was a little girl. And it was when I was about 8 or 9 years old in Woodland Hills, California. I was lying in bed, always at the same time of the night. It was at 4:35 a.m. It happened every single night for 2 weeks. These beings would come down, and they'd be in my room, actually. I'd wake up and I'd see them at the foot of my bed, putting glowing rods in my feet. And I wasn't afraid. People always ask me, well, didn't that terrify you? And I got to be honest and say it wasn't terrifying to me. It seemed really normal. And, you know, what does that mean? My experience was fully conscious. It was not a dream. I was fully awake when I was having this experience. They were in cloaks. They were hooded, so it was very hard to see them. But what I could see was that they were about 3.5 feet tall, or 4 feet tall. They were very small. And they had little boxy hands. So their little hands were kind of like that much of a finger. And they would hold these tubes, and they were very good about it. Their faces were kind of folded, like those dogs, you know, the dogs that have the folded faces. Their faces were folded, their skin was thick, and it had a bluish gray tone to it. And I remember very clearly seeing their eyes. Their eyes would be little tiny little black eyes that were beady and twinkly. And the message that they gave me, which was inside my mind, was that they were taking my memories. After the 2 weeks were over, I went out with my sister, who's 2 years younger than I, so she would be like 7. And we walked out at the end of our driveway, which was kind of like near the street, and held hands and started crying, and looking up at the sky and asking them to take us back. Right. And after that, nothing.
So it was just over a 2-week period that this happened for you?
It was 2 weeks every single night. And my sister doesn't remember a thing. She doesn't remember any of it.
Now you can imagine, Kesara, what the audience might be thinking listening to this.
Yeah.
That, you know, how can this be happening?
Well, you know, my advice to them all is to go by your personal experience. I am a complete realist, and I will not believe anybody. I only believe my own personal experience. And I'll tell you, when I've drawn for these people, and I draw their pictures, and they turn pale and almost pass out, personally, I believe that they've gone through the experience because of the reaction they've had.
Now, you've been an artist for more than 20 years, and you've been drawing people's experiences.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first time someone came up to you and told you about their experience and asked you to draw it?
Let me think. The first time somebody came up to me. Yeah. It was a girl at a Crystal Skull gathering, and she asked me to come up and draw for her experiences. And that was one of the most extraordinary people that I've ever met. She had experiences with several different kinds of ETs, and she was very coherent when she explained these experiences. And then after being with her for a while, I started having experiences with her.
Really?
So that was a really interesting, I guess, relationship. And I developed very powerful and strong relationships with the people that I draw with, the investigators and the experiencers.
Right. And you have the ability to be able to tune in to a person, to pick up
You have to. I mean, it's literally impossible to do this kind of work without doing it. I mean, the police sketch artists, they may go by some kind of format, but when you see some of these pictures that the police sketch artists have done, they must have tuned in because they get the expression, like the bomber guy. That guy, you look at the picture, you go, wow, she really captured him. You know, so when you do this kind of work, you have to tune in and you have to kind of draw from the person or draw from the experience in order to really get an accurate vision of what's going on.
Right. So would you say then it's a psychic ability that you have to
yeah. If you wanted to categorize it, sure. We all have that. All of us. And I just kind of have fine-tuned it because I've had to. The people that I work for, they're very, very, very specific and just so particular. And in order for me to get any time frame into the drawing, I could be spending 1,000 hours on it, but in order for me to just get the work done, I have to tune in.
Let's have a look at some of Kesara's drawings. Absolutely amazing. This one, first of all, I believe it's a personal experience, a personal sighting that you had.
That's a personal experience. It's in Crater Lake, a little bit past Mount Shasta. And I was with my family, my husband and Preston. And the two ships were flying above me. And they were lights, but they were bright lights. And so I had a flashlight, and I had just learned about signaling UFOs. So I got my flashlight, and I flashed it. And it flashed back.
Wow.
And I went, whoa. And so my husband, well, actually my husband told me to flash it. And then he said, flash it twice. And so I flashed it twice, and it flashed twice. The most extraordinary thing about this particular flashing, though, was that the way the light came off of the UFO, it came off slow. Right. You know how the light on Earth comes off, you know, just like bright, and then it goes off.
This had a different...
It had a sort of a plasmic kind of quality about it, and it came off of the ship slowly. And each time it lit its light, it kind of like blended out into the darkness, and then it just went on its way.
This craft reminds me very much of the Close Encounters craft.
Oh, yeah.
Steven Spielberg's movie.
Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome. What about this one?
That was when I was picking up my son from his friend's house, and this is in Reseda, California, which is like right in the middle of highly populated suburbia. And when I got in the car, we both looked at the light and we both saw it. It was a bright yellow light and it flew by, and it was undoubtedly an aircraft of some kind because it was so close. And it didn't just fly away like an airplane where you can continuously see the light fade away. This just kind of popped into the space, into reality, and popped out of reality. And both of us saw it and we're going, you know.
What are UFOs to you? Do you believe them to be extraterrestrial?
I don't know what they are. I think that they're extraterrestrial. Some of the experiences that I've had are positively extraterrestrial, but some of the other ones, I don't know. I take each experience individually.
Where do you think ETs actually fit into in the concept of God?
You know, that's a good question, because in my opinion, they have the ability to be encompassing. And that depends on the type of being that you're dealing with. Some beings are so advanced and so beyond us and in some other reality that they could typically be like an angel or like some light being.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I've gotten some requests for illustrations on that manner too.
Let's check out the next one. Oh, my goodness. This is an actual being that someone saw.
Many people have seen this being.
A reptilian.
Yes. I've never seen one. The people that I've talked to that have seen them, I'm very positive that they've seen them. Some very reputable people that I've spoken to that are extremely well-educated investigators have seen these beings in their office, going through their paperwork.
You're kidding.
It's pretty interesting, all the stories. They're so fascinating.
Do these beings just appear?
Yeah, they do. I mean, he walked in, he saw the being standing there in his office looking through the paperwork. And then he looked over at the guy and looked back and just kept looking through the paperwork, and he was scared because the reptilians, they stand about 8 feet tall, and they're huge. They're like those giant bodybuilders as you see at the, you know.
So there was no conversation exchanged?
No.
Nothing telepathic?
No. He just looked at him, went back to his business, and then vanished.
My goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the next one. Again, we have another reptilian I can see.
This is drawn for a woman who's had extensive experience, and she had, I don't know, a hard time with these beings. She had a rough time with them. She's one person that I've talked to that didn't have a pleasant experience with them. They were very rough with her. I don't know the details really, but her name's Linda Hamilton, and you could probably find out through the website what her experiences were with this particular being.
Now, when you say they handled her roughly, what kind of thing are we talking about here?
I'm not exactly sure how they handled her roughly. She just expressed that they weren't too easy with her. I guess because of their size and the way they were with her, they kind of hurt her.
Do these beings ever say where they're from?
Not to me, and not to the people that I've interviewed. Maybe with Barbara Lamb that you had on one of your previous shows. She has some more information on them. But the people that I've talked to, they didn't really say where they were from. Some people say they're from Middle Earth, according to an investigator that I've illustrated for. But he hasn't. I don't know if he's had personal experience. See, all my memories blend in together because there's so many people.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Well, that's extremely interesting to say the least. What do people say to you once you've drawn these beings? What's their reaction once they see their being drawn right in front of their eyes?
I've gotten different reactions, but the one reaction that I always look for is when they turn pale white and they almost
faint.
And they go, "Oh my God, that's him," you know, or "That's her," or they start crying.
Right. So there's real emotion there, obviously, that's associated with
yeah,
these
that
beings.
really is interesting because of the fact that it seems to materialize what they've been going through, because it's all they can do is express to people through words what they're talking about. But once they get the picture down, it seems to be more, you know, tangible.
Sure.
And that's, I think, why they get affected that way.
Right. What about this one with the red eyes here? How did this being come about?
I went to Barbara Lamb's little meeting that she has with a lot of people, and she asked me to draw for some of the people in her meeting. And this one individual had me draw this being, and she sat down and explained it to me as having a ruffly head. And she would guide me through it, like saying, okay, the head's a little bit more bigger back here. And they were wearing kind of like this cloak, and their eyes were red. And whenever I illustrate, I try to express what that person is feeling in the illustration, so that when you look at it, you can kind of feel what they're feeling at the time when they see it. Basically, she didn't explain to me what the experience was, but she kind of expressed to me how she felt about it emotionally. So I tried to, put that into the picture.
Did she say if this being was a benevolent being, a friendly person?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't know. I think so. Most of the people that Barbara Lamb works with, they have a certain relationship with their beings, and they're usually very positive,
Right.
long-lasting relationships.
Do you find that people that come to you and explain their experiences, is there some kind of healing process that goes on once they see the being drawn
Yes,
that they've encountered?
definitely. And it triggers off more memory,
Right.
because a lot of experiencers have blank spots in their memories, but once they see the drawing, it seems to pull out some stuff that was either their memories taken away, or they just simply forgot about it because it was such an extreme experience.
Right, right. Let's check out the next one here. Wow.
Yeah.
He's a typical grey?
Yeah. And I tried to make it look friendly, because a lot of people have friendly experiences with greys. And so the drawing is taken from one experiencer who had very positive experiences with the greys, and the eyes are almost kind of teardroppy. And she tried to show me how they were shaped, and not extremely slivered, but more of a round, childlike look.
Right.
That's how she saw them.
Right. Well, the way you've actually drawn that, it looks like it could be a friendly ET. I don't feel any, anything malevolent with this one. I don't know what the audience are thinking at this time as we're showing them the pictures. All I'd like to say, if there are people out there who've had experiences and you'd like to contact Kesara to actually draw your experience, then please check Kesara out on my website and you'll be able to get in touch with her. Let's look at this one. We have a collection here.
Yeah, I wanted to express to people that there are different sizes of ETs and different shapes of ETs, and the color of their skin is different, and the eyes are even different, and actually the lid above the eyes can actually be different. So each ET, I'm not sure, I could be speculating, but each ET has a certain function.
Right.
So,
a certain duty to do.
Yeah, and I think that their appearance and the way they look goes along with that. But I could be wrong. I'm just speculating.
Are you displaying any of your artwork anywhere that people can go and see it?
I'm putting together a website, and hopefully I'll have it together really soon. And I'll have all my illustrations that I've ever done for anybody on that website if they want to view it. Some of the work that I have all my original work, and I'm going to be auctioning it off soon.
Right.
Because it's sad to see it in a box, you know, it should be with somebody else. So I'm putting it all together, and it's over 200 illustrations.
My goodness.
They're all based on actual events.
My goodness, wow. Let's check this out. This one is that way. Now this looks like a human being having an experience here with
I wanted to show people the inside of a ship. And how the different size aliens were according to this man. Also, on the ships, they have different instruments that they work with, and each instrument, you know, does different things. Like they have the laser that will cut and heal at the same time, and they have the instruments that put in the implants for whatever they use the implants for, measuring, you know, toxics or whatever in the body. Then they have beams of light that actually will heal. And it's incredible what they can do in terms of healing. It's really quite remarkable.
Have you had an experience like this where you've been taken?
No.
No.
If I did, I don't remember it.